I can't take those.
You have to. It's over.
No, this is my home!
I'm sorry.
The day I told my evicted neighbor to move in with me, she thought I was mocking her. And honestly, if I had been standing in her shoes, holding 2 trash bags filled with my entire life while strangers watched from behind half-closed curtains, I might have thought the same. But what happened after she whispered, "That's not funny," changed both of our lives forever. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll understand why sometimes the bravest words we can say are the simplest ones. You don't have to face this alone. I had lived in that apartment building for 6 years. Same cracked beige walls, same flickering hallway light, same lonely dinners eaten at a small kitchen table meant for 4. My life was quiet. Predictable. Safe. I worked remotely, rarely spoke to anyone beyond polite nods, and convinced myself I preferred it that way. Then she moved in across the hall. Her name was Eliza. She wasn't loud, but she carried a kind of warmth that filled the hallway anyway. She would hum softly while unlocking her door. Sometimes I'd smell cinnamon drifting from her kitchen. Once, when my grocery bag tore open in the hallway, she helped me pick up scattered oranges, laughing when one rolled down the stairs. We weren't friends. Not really. Just neighbors who exchanged small kindnesses. Until the morning everything fell apart. I heard the argument before I saw her. A sharp male voice, impatient and cold. The landlord. "You've had extensions, Eliza. I can't wait anymore." When I opened my door, she was standing there in the hallway, pale and shaking. 2 trash bags at her feet. A small suitcase. That was it. No moving truck. No family. No one beside her. The hallway felt smaller than ever. Our eyes met. Hers were glossy but stubborn. She refused to cry in front of him. The landlord left after changing the lock. Just like that. A life erased with the twist of a key. For a few seconds, I stood frozen. My brain raced with practical thoughts. This isn't my business. She'll figure something out. Don't get involved. But then I saw her shoulders slump once the footsteps faded. Not dramatically. Just enough to reveal how alone she felt. Before I could overthink it, the words came out. "Move in with me." She blinked, almost offended. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking," I said quickly, heart pounding. "I have a spare room. It's small. And kind of messy. But it's yours if you want it." She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. "We barely know each other," she whispered. "I know," I replied. "But I know what it's like to feel like you have nowhere to go." That part surprised even me. I hadn't planned to say it. There was a long silence. The kind where pride wrestles with desperation. Finally, she asked, "Why?" And that was the real question, wasn't it? Why would a quiet, socially awkward neighbor invite a stranger into his carefully controlled life? Because I knew what it felt like when no one showed up. Years ago, when my father died and debt swallowed our house, no one had offered me a spare room. I slept in my car for weeks before finding stability again. I survived, but I never forgot the ache of wishing someone had simply said, "Come in." "I just think," I said slowly, "that sometimes we don't need to know someone's whole story to know they shouldn't be standing in a hallway with trash bags." Her lips trembled. She looked down at her hands, gripping the plastic too tightly. And then she nodded. Carrying her suitcase into my apartment felt strangely monumental. As if the air itself had shifted. The first week was awkward. We moved around each other carefully, like guests overstaying a welcome that hadn't yet been tested. She insisted on cooking dinner to earn her stay. I insisted she didn't need to. She paid what little she could from freelance design work, though I told her not to worry about it. One night, I found her sitting on the couch staring at her phone. "I applied to 12 jobs today," she said without looking up. No responses. You'll get one, I replied. What if I don't? I didn't have an answer. Instead, I sat beside her. That became our routine. Silent support. Shared tea. Conversations that slowly grew deeper. I learned she'd moved to the city after a broken engagement. She'd drained her savings trying to restart her life. When freelance work dried up, rent followed. She hadn't told anyone back home because she didn't want to admit she was struggling. I thought I could handle everything alone, she confessed one evening. I didn't want to be a burden. You're not, I said. But as weeks turned into a month, I started to feel something unexpected, fear. What if she found a job and left? What if this fragile companionship disappeared as suddenly as it had formed? I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't just helping her anymore. She was helping me. My apartment no longer felt like a waiting room for a life I hadn't started. It felt lived in. Alive. Then came the setback. She received a job offer, contract-based, unstable, but promising. She was excited, hopeful. 2 weeks later, the company downsized before her start date. I came home to find her packing. What are you doing? I asked. I can't keep relying on you, she said, avoiding my eyes. This was supposed to be temporary. I need to figure it out myself. You are figuring it out, I insisted. Setbacks don't mean you failed. It's not fair to you. I stepped closer. You think I offered because it was convenient? Eliza, I meant it when I said you don't have to face this alone. She looked up, finally meeting my eyes. Why does that matter so much to you? Because somewhere along the way, she had become the family I didn't know I needed. Because the world is hard enough, I said quietly. And if we all keep pretending we can survive it alone, we'll keep ending up in hallways with trash bags. Tears slipped down her cheeks. This time, she didn't hide them. She didn't leave. Instead, we made a plan together. Budget spreadsheets. Networking events. Portfolio revisions. I used my contacts to connect her with clients. She redesigned my entire workspace, turning it into something warm and inspiring. 3 months later, she landed a stable remote design position with a growing startup. The day she signed her contract, she walked into the living room holding her laptop like it was a golden ticket. I did it, she whispered. No, I smiled. We did. Eventually, she did move out, but not because she had to. She found a small studio nearby. Close enough to visit. Close enough that we still shared dinners twice a week. On the day she carried her boxes down the stairs, she paused in the hallway, the same hallway where I had first spoken those impulsive words. I thought you were making fun of me, she admitted. I know. Thank you for proving you meant it. As she walked away, I realized something powerful. Kindness doesn't require perfect timing. It doesn't require deep history or guarantees. Sometimes it's simply choosing to interrupt someone's fall. That day, I didn't just offer her a room. I offered her dignity. And in return, she gave me connection, purpose, and the reminder that home isn't defined by square footage, it's defined by who stands beside you when everything else is gone. If you ever find yourself watching someone struggle from behind a half-open door, remember this: the smallest invitation can change a life. Maybe even your own. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can say is, "Move in with me."